Y'all, welcome back to the Bayside Jewel. Hope everybody's doing good out there. I took a couple of days and just caught up on some things around the house, well, the compound here. Today, what I'm going to talk about is your right to travel, and I'm going to talk about the Alhambra. The reason why I'm talking about these things is because I think they'll be helpful for you to know. In case you don't, I think they'll be very, very helpful for you. Because over the last couple of days, I've noticed another brother, they done took down, the police shot him in the head in Miami. And, every time that I'm hearing this, it makes me sad, because it seems like, we're all so helpless against this beast that's, slowly genociding us again, So, what I want to talk about is this right to travel. You should know. If you don't, I'm going to inform you that you actually have the right to travel freely, uncontested, unmolested, and it is your birthright. But you have to be, aware of these rights, and I'm going to give you these case laws as well, that you could research and verify that you absolutely have the right to do these things. Now, there's a difference from you being a national people, claiming your indigenous status, and you being a U.S. citizen. U.S. citizen is basically your allegiance to the United States, and you are definitely property owned by the United States. Now, a lot of my conscious mowers already know this stuff, so I just hope that you stand firm on your knowing your rights. They're unalienable, meaning that they can't be contested. Okay, so you guys, anytime that you're behind the wheel, you're always taking a chance of running into these bandits or highwaymen. And that is a real terminology, highwaymen. It means that they are robbers, they rob travelers, So keep in mind, anytime that you're on the highway traveling, you're not driving. Because if you admit to your driving, then that means that you are, submissive to their codes, statutes, and ordinances, So when you see the black and white signs on the street, or the yellow signs, or whatever, those signs are actually for commercial vehicles. They're not for people traveling in their personal, private conveyors, So your car becomes your conveyor. Driving becomes traveling. Okay, so those, like if you see a speed sign that says 40 miles an hour and you're going 60, and the highwaymen get behind you, Those signs are for commercial vehicles, Therefore, when you're doing business like trucking or something like that, but you're in your private capacity, that shit don't really apply to you. So that's how it goes, But these highwaymen, they're just bandits, just like they used to do long time ago when there were no automobiles. They were bandits. They were called highwaymen. They robbed travelers, people that was, traveling on their horses, and they ain't gone nowhere. So that's what these policemen are. They're highwaymen when they get behind you. But you absolutely have a right to travel, even without a license. You have a right to now, I don't recommend this, but it is, conscious mowers know that it is their right, and probably isn't a good idea unless you're prepared to deal with the harassment. But you have the right to even travel without a license plate because you're the indigenous people. They're Johnny come lately. They just came over here and taken over your land. Now they got all these codes, statutes, and ordinances that are not even law. That's codes, statutes, and ordinances. It's not law. It's color of law. It's their bullshit ass law because they're not the natural people of the Americas. So this territory that I'm referring to is the Americas. So, it would do you some good to look up these case laws that I'm going to give you, just to give you some clarity and to validate what I'm actually telling you. You don't really need a license to travel. You don't. So my thing is anytime if you have a license, you're playing it in the United States system. Go ahead and do your thing. But even this case law is for you also. You don't really have to have a license to travel. It's your unalienable birthright. And especially if you refer to yourself as a natural person, a natural people, people of the land, the indigenous people. So all conscious mowers already know this. I've helped quite a few people in the Americas dealing with this particular issue here. And it's not very difficult to do. I mean, everyone that I helped, but you got to know your stuff. You got to be able to stand on your ground, and the reason why I wanted to do this is because when I seen the video of them gunning down that brother, what the brother actually took off running and they shot him in the head. So, brothers and sisters, you don't have to run. All you have to do is stand your ground, know your law. I mean, especially either way it goes, whether you're a U.S. citizen or a natural person, Moorish American in particular, because Moors know, this is not just a myth of being Moorish American. It's absolutely factual, and this also brings me to something else. Did you know that, because when I was in the Americas, they got churches on every corner, just about every block you're gonna find a church, and those churches are not built by these great ministers that want their own church and things like that. They're built by the state, and all this time, for hundreds and thousands of years, there was always wars with Muslims and Christians, right? So anyway, I remember having a conversation, and the people that I was talking to, they were like, "This is a Christian country, it's a Christian country," and I hadn't done my research at the time, but I was like, "Oh, Christian," So, but yeah, uh, the Americas is not supposed to be a Christian nation. And I can prove this to you. I'm going to prove it to you. If you look up the Treaty of Tripoli, the Treaty of Tripoli in Article 11 clearly indicates and states that by any form is the United States of America a Christian nation. Because actually it was more Muslims than Christians before the white man came there. You know, I remember even the President Obama did a speech that kind of shook me up, right? And he was talking about all the great works that Islam had done for the Americas, you know, hundreds of years ago. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's he talking about? Islam did this and the Muslims did that. And I said, shit, Somalians just got here. They just Johnny come lately. They ain't built shit. I said, he must be talking about us. And that's what he was doing. He was talking about us because the Americas, it was a lot of Muslim and, you know, especially after, you know, like Noble Drew Ali, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Yeah. You know, and long before that even, you know, when back in the time of slavery, most brothers and sisters were like Muslims. That was their spirituality. And keep in mind that not all Muslims have the same exact culture, because there are some Muslims that are more spiritual than the, I don't know how to differentiate the difference, but there are some that are more spiritual, and there are some that are like right on the book, you know, right there by the book, you know. So, yeah, you look at that treaty of Tripoli, 1796, I think, in Article 11. And I'm going to bring that to you. As a matter of fact, let me do that one right now. I'm going to bring this to you. Hang on. Did you peep that? Article 11 clearly shows that the Americas is, you know, this was a treaty that they did with Tripoli. Now, keep in mind that they're trying to change our history, so they changed the names of a lot of these territories, right? So, you know, it would throw you off. You think that it's just a part of history, you know, when they say Tripoli. But actually, Tripoli is actually, today, is what they call Libya, right? Now, because they changed the name of all our stuff. You know, they came over here, especially during the time of Berlin Conference. They came over to Africa and just chopped it all up, man. This is why Africa have so many countries, you know. And, you know, they decided what they were going to do and rename everything and stuff like this. Remember, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. That's where that shit came from. And this is why, you know, I think one of the earliest so-called independence is Liberia. I think they were, I think they got their independence, is it 1947? Maybe 1947 or 1847. They were like the first ones to get their independence. And then later, you know, I think it was Ghana. But, you know, and then it keeps going up, you know. But even here in Gambia, they didn't get their so-called fake-ass independence until 1965. And the reason why I say fake is because, you know, these people still got clauses on their constitution and stuff like that. Even in their signing of the independence, you know, it's almost like, you know, we'll give you this. No, we won't give you that, but we'll do this. We'll do that. We'll just say you're free. You're independent. You know, that's how it is. So, you guys, I'm gonna bring you also this, you know, these case laws, so that you can stand your ground a bit. You know, if you ever, you know, get in position where these highwaymen get behind you and you know, wanna you know, harass you for any reason, technically you have, it's your unalienable, unquestionable birthright to travel. Now, if your allegiance is totally with the United States, you know, and you want to follow their codes and their statutes and ordinances, you could also use this case law. You can use the case law and stand your ground. But, you know, a lot of times, you know, you can stand your ground and they'll still give you a ticket and threaten you with a bench warrant. But all studied Moors know how to deal with that shit. You know, you send your affidavits in, you put your demands in. And if you ever go to one of those courts, you turn it to a tribunal. And before you even cross that bar, you tell them by any means, I'm not waiving any of my rights. Because a lot of times what they'll try to do is, once you cross that bar, it's like you're under their submission. So make it clear that you're not under their submission. And you go there and you stand your ground. Moors, I know you know what I'm talking about. So, but in the beginning, for United States citizens, you still have a right to travel. You still have a freely, unmolested, and use these case laws, okay? All right. We're back. Now it's time we're going to talk about something I think is very important for you to know. I think that you should probably have this embedded in your head just as much as anyone would have the Bible or the Quran, okay? It's just that important. Now, my question to you is, have you ever wondered how in the hell did we ever get in this situation where, you know, we don't get no justice, we don't get no love, and everything is just against us, you know? It's just like people put the bad rap on us and stay away from black people, and black people ain't this, and we can never prosper. Have you ever wondered, do you think it's just a curse? A curse from God or the Most High? Well, I'm going to give you something to point you in the right direction. You see, what some of you know and some of you probably don't know is your ancestors were doing fairly well, even from Egypt, from all the technology and stuff from Egypt and all the discoveries. I'm talking math, science, reading, writing, astrology, theology, metaphysics, quantum physics, you name it, we can claim it, okay? Now, when the Kemet Empire fell, the Kemet Empire, because Kemet is Egypt, you know, Egypt is the white man's word for it. Just like Africa. Africa is not the indigenous name for Africa. The indigenous name for Africa is Al-Kabalan. That's the name of Africa before a white man named it Africa. Al-Kabalan, okay? But anyway, so yeah, we were awesome people in Egypt, y'all. And don't think that we're still not awesome people. We are awesome people. It's just that we've been systematically destabilized, and a lot of us is actually under threat, coerced, and duress. You know, a lot of our great leaders are. So if they try to do anything other than getting these people's permission, there are consequences, and sometimes consequences are just not worth it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so after the Kemet Empire, we had another great empire. You know, we had a lot of great empires, you know. But our problem was we were always warring with each other. But, you know, when our ancestors, the Moors, started ruling from 711, watch this. That's right. 711 AD till 1492. So you remember these dates. 711 AD to 1492. That's when we were really doing some great things. And 1492, our people were in Spain, and they built this beautiful, big, huge, gigantic castle, right? And they named it Alhambra, right? Alhambra. So, you know, here, I mean, this joint here was off the chain, and it's still off the chain. And I'm going to show you some beautiful pictures. Because it's now like a #1 tourist attraction in Spain, right? So, you know, this place, I mean, was like unprecedented, man. Hands down, nobody could come close to it because they had all the science, all the knowledge to make this castle like a heaven. It really was like a heaven back in those days. You know, people didn't have anything like what they did. You know, they had running water fountains, running out of fountains. They had big, gigantic pools. They had just a huge irrigation system. They had street lights that would light up at night. And keep in mind that this place was actually built in the early 1200s, right? 1200 AD. When people were either in huts or, you know, some kind of hut. They didn't have any really, you know, modern day homes wasn't even thought of, you know. But here, these ancestors of ours had this gigantic mansion here on earth. Something that we have never, ever, ever, ever even dreamed of. And the pictures is going to tell the story all for itself. this was back in the early 1200s, man. It blows my mind. And the place is still standing in immaculate condition. It blows my mind with the extremely high ceilings that they had with all the art designs up in there, and all the bathing areas. Moors were experts on hygienes, because they had to teach the Europeans about hygienes, remember? Because the Europeans were dying from diseases, and they would have their animals in the house and stuff like that. Moors had to help them because they were dying. So Moors took the animals out of their houses and taught them about good hygienes. And, it's not a myth, because I think they must have had like about 12, 13, 14 bathing areas in Alhambra, and it just blows my mind that place could be like that. And they thought of all that stuff way back then. And this stuff is so awesome that it's awesome to this day, awesome to this day, man. So anyway, what happened was they had another war dealing with these Christians. A lot of the, anytime they had wars with these now oppressors, it was always Christians challenging these Muslims, right? As a matter of fact, they went around the world genociding our people, genociding the Muslims. If you didn't become a Christian, they would kill you, right? So this is how I'm telling you, this is how we got in this position right here. Now, we are direct ascendants, especially over in the Americas. We are direct descendants of these Moors that built Alhambra. So you wonder why they treat you so bad? It's because they know who the hell you are. And, not only to say Moors, but even some Hebrews, we are directly related. Hebrew Israelites, we are definitely related. It's just that we do different things, But so you wonder why they treat you so bad. It's because they know who the hell you are. They knew that you ruled over their asses for, centuries. They know this, So this is like them coming back with their rulership over you. This is why we get treated the way that we get treated in the Americas. So in 1492, the Christians had a war with our ancestors there in Alhambra, at Alhambra. And that's in Granada, Spain. So, what happened was, to my studies and understanding, understanding, is that they surrounded Alhambra, surrounded that area, and our ancestors just couldn't get out to get food or things like that, So they end up surrendering, coming out, after so long cooped up in Alhambra, which is a beautiful, huge castle. I never heard the story of our brothers, our ancestors being able to fight, even get to their horses. I never heard that story, if they were able to even fight. Because from what I know of this story, there was no fight. They got surrounded, and they stayed surrounded for a certain period of time. Then they just said, fuck it. Anyway, so after they surrendered, they end up giving the keys to Alhambra to the old bullshit ass their old Christian's queen. Her name at that time it was Isabella, Queen Isabella. And her husband was Fernando or something like that. Anyway, so yeah, they defeated they got our people to surrender. And they told our people, they said, if you stay here at this castle, because we're taking over this castle, if you stay here, you're going to have to convert to Christianity, right? And then what happened was some of the brothers, some of the Moors, they left and went back to West Africa. And hell, some of them even went back to America, Some of they just spread out. Some of them actually stayed there and converted to Christianity. But unfortunately, the ones that actually stayed there and converted to Christianity were some of the first ones that they end up putting in slavery also, But they did some really cruel shit, you guys. They promised the women and children could go freely, And then they waited until they get out in the water and they just blew their ships up and shit like that, But yeah, so this war has been going on, especially ever since our ancestors lost that war in 1492. So you should remember the Alhambra. That is the place where your ancestors lost that one of the last great wars, And this is where things got turned around in their favor. So they've been ruling ever since. It's not that this is the way that God wants it, or this is the way that Allah wants it, you guys. It's not that. These are the facts of what actually happened, And in my opinion, we should never allow them to get to this point where they are now with all of this technology, weapons, and biochemical weapons. We should have never allowed that, Like I said, back in the 60s, man, our fight was the wrong shit. While we were talking about we want equal rights and we want to be United States citizens and shit, nah, we should have been building our own castles, building our own businesses, starting our own manufacturing plants. But we kind of did. And when they seen how great we were, guess what they did? They did just like Gap Band said. That's what that song was about. You Dropped a Bomb on Me by Gap Band in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And guess where Gap Band is from? Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's why they say you dropped a bomb on me, because some people, they seen how prosperous we were. They got up in planes and started dropping bombs down on our people, you guys. So, don't think that, this is just how we are as a people. It's just that anytime we try to do something great, these motherfuckers come along and either imitate or take it away. Stop it. You know what I'm saying? So we are systematically destabilized as well. How many homes do you know in America where how I feel about black, but you know what I'm saying? Black man and black woman in the house, with their children. They done divided up our families. They done destabilized our families, you guys. So, everything that we could do, they have a counteraction to take it away, So my thing is, for you to know this information right here, the Alhambra, 1492. This is when things changed for us. This is when things got really bad for us. 1492, I'm going to keep this going. Alhambra. And you should know Alhambra just like you know the Bible or your Quran about Alhambra. It's like a wonder of the world. And now, like I watched a video recently of a tourist going there, and I was, just tripping, because they go there like it's their legend. You know, this is where things turned around for them, you know. And I didn't see not one brother, not one sister there. But they go there and they marvel at what our ancestors did, and they actually have that territory now. I think, like I said, I think it's a beer company that actually owns it now, Alhambra. But yeah, you guys, so this is why things are the way that they are. But you know, it doesn't mean that you're stuck in this reality, because once you get conscious and you start studying and finding out all of this stuff, man, you start seeing that shit is not really what it is. Just like the Americas is not supposed to be a Christian country. It's not. It's actually supposed to be a Muslim country. And did you know that this Treaty of Tripoli was signed in what they call now Libya? And guess what? It was signed by Moors. Day, you know, Moors are Bays, Days, Els, Als, and Alis, you know, and the signature on these documents are Bays and Days. And the reason why that treaty even existed in the first place is because, you know, Moors were masters in the Mediterranean Sea. So they were controlling that joint, you know what I'm saying? Now today they would say they were pirates, you know. Nah, them was Moors out there in that water, because they were masters at getting around in that ocean, you know. But anyway, so when United States start getting this shit together, they wanted to know that, you know, they would be safe to do their business traveling, you know, along the coast from the Americas getting to Libya. So this is how this contract, this treaty come about. They wanted some safety in the water. Yeah, that's what that was all about. So you guys, I hope that you know, I shed some light to you guys. I hope I did. And yeah, so I hope you find something out of it. Okay? So we're going to sign up out of this camp till the next episode. I'm your host, Brother Bay. And, you know, if you got something out of this video, go ahead and give me one of these. Because I get too filled there. But we're getting there. Okay, you guys, from the Bayside Jewel, we're going to sign out. Peace.